Hello there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to my channel and live stream where I will be streaming my Let's Play and deep dive into the lore of Lord of the Rings in Lord of the Rings Online. My name is Lane. I've been a gamer for a very long time and I've been a fan of fantasy and of Tolkien in particular since my teens. Um, and so I thought this would be a good idea to, combine gaming with the incredible lore of what Tolkien has written. Um, For those of you who have watched the previous episode, I would like to make a few corrections because, of course, I talked about several things that turned out to be either incorrect or need some clarification. So to start with, in the opening the introduction campaign, there was a lineup of all the leaders of men and elves, and one of them was Anarion, and I unfortunately didn't recognize him, and I named him a steward of Gondor instead of the brother of Isildur. So there you have it. Not a steward, but of the line of kings of Gondor. Also, when the ring wraiths showed up, I mentioned several rings being made by Sauron and Celebrimbor, and I believe I said that the 7 rings were made by Celebrimbor and not by Sauron. This is not entirely correct because only the 3 rings for the Elven Lords were not made by Sauron. All the others had his touch upon them. And because Sauron had at least the idea of the Rings of Power, even the 3 were not, what do you call it? Sometimes words are hard. Sorry, guys. They were still susceptible to the back door and the subjugation through the One Ring, or at least that's what the elves thought. So preemptively, as soon as Sauron put on the One Ring, they took them off to prevent themselves from falling under Sauron's sway. Also, I talked a little bit about the origins of the ring wraiths, about the lands they were from. This is more speculation than it is canon. It is written by Tolkien that the ring wraith's origins were that they were black Númenóreans. The Númenóreans were the forefathers of the kings and inhabitants of Gondor, the first men to ally themselves, or at least the descendants of the first men to ally themselves with the elves. And I said that they were the ones who first came to Middle-earth and humiliated Sauron, and Sauron submitted to them. Over long years, Sauron's strength returned and his sway returned over the lands he once ruled, and those are the lands to the south and to the east. It is said that the lands that the Númenóreans occupied were mostly coastal, but it is entirely possible, if not exactly fact that the lands that the ringwraiths, black Numenoreans, were from were actually at one point under the dominion of the Numenoreans. So while it is not entirely true that, or at least not while it is not entirely canon that they were from those lands, it is quite possible. So this is a bit of artistic freedom by the developers, but not impossibly so. So hey, there it is. I also noticed that during character creation, I kind of completely forgot about the background. So I would just like to hop into the game and go over those backgrounds really quick. So let's get to it. Unfortunately, my game, although I thought I had started it up, hadn't. So it will take a short while. Let me log in here. Let's load in the game. Almost there. Again, really sorry about the delay. And here we go. Of course, I should do that because I like female characters better. As you can see on the left, there are 5 origin stories for the High Elves. These are all lands that belonged at some point to a land which was much larger than the Middle Earth that we knew. One of these, and I'll do this in reverse order, is Osiriand. This is a bit of an odd one out because a lot of Osiriand actually still survives to this day. Back then, it was pretty much at the end of the Elvish domains on the east, but now it lies on the far west of Middle-earth and is now known as Lindon, the place where we'll start our adventure soon. Next up is Beleriand, and as it says, in elder days she dwelt in the fair lands of Beleriand, now broken and lost forever beneath the sea. This is very true. Beleriand was mostly a realm that was in between Osiriand and the western reaches, and where actually a lot of the elves dwelt. I even believe, though I'm not entirely sure of this, that Nargothrond and Gondolin were actually part of the greater region of Beleriand. So I'll go into those later. Beleriand had one large realm that was known for it, which was dang it, I completely forgot. Let me Google this. I am so sorry. Because I know who dwelt there. I just, for the life of me, can't remember the name. There it is. The Kingdom of Doriath. Actually, the King of Doriath was one of the three original kings of the elves who led his people towards Valinor, but didn't continue because he fell in love with Amaya, one of the, what you might call them, lesser gods. And from them sprang a line that can be traced directly to the kings of Numenor. Next we have Nargothrond. Nargothrond was a kingdom that had a massive cave system hewn out mainly by dwarves, I believe, and which was for a long time hidden to the enemy, but unfortunately at some point, and I believe it was Hurin? Is it Hurin? No. Turin Turamba, who eventually and inadvertently disclosed the location of Nargothrond to Smaug, the father of dragons, and after which the kingdom was completely destroyed. But this is one of the oldest realms in Elven lore. I'm going to come back to Imladris in a second, and go on to Gondolin. Gondolin is another hidden realm, which lied between a series of mountain ranges called the Echoriath, otherwise known as the Encircling Mountains, and its passes and underpasses were tightly guarded by the elves, making sure that no spy of Morgoth could enter that realm. Even when the king of Gondolin ventured forth to fight in one of the battles against Morgoth, some of the other elves, when the battle was eventually lost, covered the retreat of the soldiers of Gondolin to make sure that that realm stayed hidden. And for many, many long years, I think even probably thousands, Gondolin, as one of the main strongholds of the elves, remained a fear to the Dark Lord himself. I personally really like Gondolin, because from Gondolin also stemmed the line of kings of Numenor. So you have two elven lines congregating with the lines of humans to create eventually the half-elven. Finally, there is Imladris, and I don't know exactly when Imladris was founded, but I do think it was after the Second Age, after the sundering of the world and the loss of Beleriand, and it was established to the far east at that point, near the Mountains of Mist, but since Imladris itself is in the game, and we actually visited there shortly in the opening campaign, I will definitely revisit that and talk about that later. So let's go back to our character. So let's go enter. Let's hope my computer doesn't crash upon doing this. It is an oldie, unfortunately. There we go. Loading screen. Back where we started, where we ended last time. So this is Selondim. It's let's open the map for a second. Let's see how I've not done this in a long while. So Selondim is here, at the mouth of the river, where I think the Grey Havens are around here somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure, so don't pin me on that. This is where we'll start our journey. We'll definitely be making our way to Thorin's Hall in the Ered Luin, also known as the Blue Mountains, where we'll explore some more of the lore there. But for now, just let's get to gaming. Let's see what the lore is. I am not going to do every quest. I'm also going to skip on the crafting system, because I believe that crafting, while useful, is generally tends to be a little bit boring and doesn't really matter for the lore itself, other than, you know, what crafts you could have in those times.
Greetings, friend.
So let's start with just a few simple quests. So this lady wants us to talk to Carnivore, because he seems worried about something and she wants us to find out what that is. So let's accept that and let's start going in. Also, here's a quest. Let's see.
Sweet lad Melon, will you stay a moment?
So this guy is saying that soon the elves will depart from Middle-earth, but while we're still here, we should make sure that the lands remain safe and beautiful. And he's asking us to get rid of some pesky veilflies, so we'll accept that as well and get working on that. Then over here there's Carnivore.
The sorrows of the Eldar are never ending.
Let's talk to
Will you hear
him.
my sorrows?
And he basically wants us to check up on a friend of his at the elf camp near Nen Hillith. And while I do speak a good bit of Elvish and I know a lot of the names, I don't know all of the names. All I know is that Nen stands for hill, and Hillith itself I don't know, but hey, it's a hill of some sort, so it should be easy to find. And let's see if we can find some more quests here. We'll skip this one because that only increases difficulty and we don't care about difficulty, we just want to explore.
May Govanen, might you spare a moment of your time?
Now, Finglair, I think it's pronounced, is also saying that they will leave soon, but in the meantime we should still clear the lands of foul beings. So we should go to Thanglair and, well, clear it out a little bit. We don't know exactly what we'll find there, but we should see what they are and possibly drive them out. So let's accept that as well. Now, one of the perks of being a very long member of this community, I already have a horse available, which will make travel time a lot easier. Oh, hold on. This quest tells us to talk to Tathon. Let's go back and talk to him then. Where is he at? Ah, there we are. Let's dismount, because it's not really nice to talk to someone on horseback. Just skimming through it real quick. Get through some of those tutorials. Basically, he tells us that we should reflect upon our thoughts of our friends and kin, our family, and the fact that we were given the choice to remain in Middle-earth if we so wish. And considering that we really want to explore the place because we haven't been here for thousands of years, we really want to do so, see what has happened in the meantime. So let's reflect. And we can do so by finding these reflections and talking to them. That was Kirdan, by the way, apparently one of our older friends, the shipwright. And there's Glorfindel. And we have talked about him before. I believe there is a reflection up here. Arthelin. I believe she was the one who led us to the place where the Witch King stabbed us. And she tells us, or our reflection at least tells us, that she thinks it would be a good thing to stay in Middle-earth and get rid of the evils that still dwell in it. And of course Elrond, who healed us and had his people tend to us in the long years. And eventually Gil-galad, who is no longer with us, who died in the battles against Sauron, but not in vain, because they did win and we're still here, mostly free of the subjugation of Sauron. But of course many peoples have found themselves back under his sway, and we believe that what his death bought us, we should remain undoing. So instead of taking the choice of sailing to the west, away from this world, we definitely want to stay here. And along with our travels, along with our desire to see Middle-earth, we are going to fight the evils that dwell within. Hi there, NASA. I am not going to give you my Instagram. That is not how this works. Let's see, we have to talk to Aladan. This crafting quest. Where is he at? Here we are. Sometimes these are hard to read. Where are you? There you are. I am just so blind sometimes. Aladan, of course, along with his brother Elra here, are sending missives from Elrond. They believe they might have escorted me here. They say that there are forces at work in the Blue Mountains, and that the Dowahan dwarves have now been subjugated to the enemy's will, and we should probably take a look into that. But for now, let's just continue on our journey and find our way to the Veilflies. And I think they are over here somewhere. If we hover over the quests, we can see where we need to go. So the Veilflies are just to the north and west, so let us go there. I'm not sure whether I can actually reach it from here, but this would be a good point to watch out over the havens of Selendim and admire the beautiful architecture of the elves and how they flawlessly integrate their living places with nature. And just look how gorgeous those dwellings are. Those cupolas and the absolutely amazingly looking windows, the craftsmanship that has gone into it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, enough sightseeing. Let's get rid of those Veilflies. Let's see, there's the first one. So let's walk up to him and just start beating him. And as we can see, we have indeed lost much of our powers. And we are definitely not as quick to kill these pests as we did with the enemies in Mordor with the orcs and Southrons. But I am sure we'll get there in the end. and find our strength again. And these are really quick battles just to give us an idea of where we were. And we are almost done with the fail flies already. And in the meantime, I will be looking at the sky. And I absolutely love how they have done this. And do my eyes deceive me, or does this cloud kind of look like a dragon with its eye here, nostril there, ear here? If that is truly the case, absolute kudos to the devs. It looks amazing. Okay, let's go back, see if we can find a few more of those veil flies. Okay, one more. Bit of a bit steep terrain here. And there we go. Now we could go back to another quest, but I believe we had another quest nearby. So we'll just continue down this valley and talk to I don't know what his name is. So easy to forget names once you have spoken to them once. I definitely hope I will not forget the names of you when you are here. So let's talk to Athal.
Greetings, traveler.
And he says he's still waiting for Avathal. And this is the Vale of Nanhilith. Which kind of makes me think that Nen is not necessarily hill. I will definitely write that down for next time. And see what it actually means. And I will get back to you on that.
Greetings, traveler. Will you stay a moment?
Now, Athal says it is not like Avathal to be late. But if he likes to be alone, he tends to spend a lot of time under the white trees. And so we should look for him there. And hopefully we'll find him. And then we have...
What do you need?
This guy who has given us... who wants to take in the quest for the veil flies. And he's thankful that we helped him because there is a lot to do. So we'll take the one item that we can use.
Will you lend me
the
your
other
ear?
quest. We need to talk to Helathel and Glavrol Nen and do some stuff for them, I think. Glade Wardens. Because he says that if we do that for them, he will grant us a favor. So let's just go to them, accept their quests.
Mind my words, traveler.
We just need to collect some wood. Very easy.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Kill a few wolves. Now, wolves in and of themselves are not that bad, but they are creatures that are easy to fall under Sauron's sway, and in too great numbers they will upset the balance of nature. So that's why we've got to cull them a little bit. So let's get rid of them. Husky won that one. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of wolves here, so it's a good thing that we're getting rid of them, because too many is definitely not good for the ecosystem, and it falls to us to help the ecosystem out a little bit. Now, here is an elf satchel. And if we look closely, there is somewhat of a dead body here. And even though it's not really recognizable, it kind of looks like a goblin. The lesser brothers of our enemies, the orcs. So that tells us that something afoul has happened, and we definitely need to look into that. And we will absolutely do that after we complete our circle of this beautiful lake up in the mountains. Now we will collect some lumber and some wolf skins. This is a bit of a tough one. Well, let's collect the lumber. One more piece. I think this is the last wolf we need to dispatch. And it seems, even though there's a lot of wood around, not everything is good for our task. Some of it is rotten, so we'll have to check more. In the meantime, these wolves won't let us alone. They're quite aggressive and territorial. And we're done. So let's go back to the people who gave us those tasks. Let's try not to run into any wolves while we're at it, because we don't want to kill too many. Because even though too many wolves is a bad thing, too few wolves is also a bad thing. But as we see, they are very, very aggressive and hard to dodge, but eventually we get them, and we can finally get back.
What do you need?
Well, Helethel is very happy that we've dispatched the wolves.
What can I do for you?
And Glavrolnan is very happy that we've got the wood for barrels. And
Stay a moment.
now we've got to deliver the wood to Brigadour. But before we do that, we will talk to
What
Overlas,
do you
who
need?
asked us to fulfill their requests, which we have done. And now we can choose a quest reward. But it looks like these don't really matter. So I'm just going to select one and go on to Athal.
Well met, friend.
And he also has the same suspicion that we have, that something has happened to him. So we will go back to Cardiff and see if we can find Avothal. So let's go back quickly and figure out what's been going on. I completely forgot about that. That apparently is our looting. And we accepted a new quest. We found a collar that we need to bring back to Overlas. So we shall do that. Return for a quick second. And another view of these beautiful snow-capped mountains. It's a bit hard with all the grass in between.
Megovanen. Mind my words, traveler.
So let's not dwell here any longer than we need to. And continue on our way. Now obviously there is not a lot to do while we travel. So sorry if I'm being too silent there, but hey, this is something I've done for the first time. So it's really new to me and I'm still figuring things out. And possibly things will get better at some point. Now Cardiff was here.
The sorrows of the Eldar are
And
never ending.
he tells us that it is definitely Avothal's satchel, because the pattern that was stitched on the side, that was Avothal's work himself. So let's see what we can do. And apparently Avothal is Cardiff's son, so that makes it even more important that we find him.
Will you stay a moment and learn of my troubles?
It is very likely that the goblins have slain his son, so he wants to go into the hills and avenge him. So we shall do that as soon as we can, but we also have to talk to Lenin, as well as, what was his name again? Brigadour. Let's see. Where's he at? Somewhere here, I think. Hey, I am stuck. There we go. We're back.
You may be of service to me. Sweet-eyed Melon.
Let's see. Need to go back. That is a mighty jump. Okay.
Hail, friends,
Let's
and well
finish
met.
this quest. And let's see what the next one is. Okay. That's nice that it coincides. So let's do some more travel. Ooh. Just look at the river here. Absolutely gorgeous view, and with the bridge in the distance. And I think that because it's so distant, the pillars might have been a little bit weirdly rendered. But we'll definitely take a closer look upon that when we get there. Let's see. Some skills, reorder that. Just look at this high arching bridge. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? This is elven architecture at its finest. And if you look at these steps, you see they're not exactly made for horses. So we'll just walk across them as intended. So pretty. Sometimes I'm going a little bit too fast and you get glitches like that where I just start gliding along the ground while my horse is still loading in. Let's try to be not so impatient and do things the right way. Let's try to avoid all of these creatures here because they have done us no wrong. And as long as we don't know that they need to be culled, we should not cull them. So let's talk to her. She's in need of a cask, which we have just collected the wood for and brought to the cask maker. And he's asked us to give it to her because she's a vintner making wine and needs barrels for the wine that she's making. And it seems that her vineyards have been overrun with goblins, and it's too dangerous for her to pick the grapes themselves, so we're going to do that for her.
Greetings, friend. Will you lend me your ear?
And we're also going to collect some wine that she has made earlier and bring that back to her. And at the same time, we're going to take care of these pesky goblins for Carnivore, for his son. And as we see, these are much, much tougher than the wolves that we have fought earlier. But we should be fine. we are not so weak that we can't easily handle a few goblins. So we'll take these out as we go along, find our way into the vineyard. In the meantime, take in our loot. That we can do later. That we can do later in between episodes. So let's just continue on. And part of me would like to say murdering as we go, but these are absolutely evil creatures, so murdering is what they deserve. Although, come to think of it, there is this famous quote by Gandalf when he and Frodo are sitting in Moria, which I would love to tell you about, but I know we'll be going into Moria at some point, and I will definitely look for that spot and see if I can regale you with the tale of what happened there. Let's take care of these pesky goblins while grabbing these vines. And apparently it is the goblins who have looted the wine flasks. So we'll just have to see if we can take them back off of them. Let's go, sweet cheeks. Let's dance. There we go. That guy is running away, probably trying to get some of his friends, but we'll let him, because we don't mind that at this point. And there he is, back again, and with one fell swoop we'll take care of both of them. Grab the last grapes. Oh, hiding in the bushes, are we? You nasty little thief. Get away. That's the last of the vines. So see if we can find this crouch that we need to dispatch. And the last of the wine. There's the ham crouch. Here we go. Let's dance. And he is absolutely no match for us. We need to collect one more wine flask. So we'll probably build some from these goblins on the way back. There we go. Obviously, there's too many for us to kill them all. So I'll just take down as many as we can while finding our way out of here. That's the last of them, I hope. Let's just get on our horse and get out of here. Take it. Don't let that happen. And there's one more standing in our way, I think. There we go. Go back to Breathowen.
Three-eyed Melon.
Choose some trousers, which are all worse than what I have, so doesn't matter.
Three-eyed Melon.
Same for the gloves.
Greetings, friend. Will you lend me your
We've
ear?
gotten some reputation from doing these quests. Because most of these people don't even know who we are. So we'll have to earn that trust again. So let's make our way back. Let's take a shortcut along this stream here. Ooh, I almost fell off that ridge. Not good. Ouch. Now, I really like how the developers have implemented the idea of fall damage. As far as I know, they haven't done any actual damage, but instead what they've done is so that if you fall from greater and greater heights, it will decrease your movement speed, as if you've broken a leg. And in my opinion, that's really nice, because you don't have to worry too much about falling from great heights, but the greater the height is, the longer your movement will be impaired, and also that means that the higher your chances are that you can't get away from your enemies. Now, let's bring this
Three-eyed
cask of
Melon.
wine back to Brigadour.
Maid of Honor, might you
And-
spare a moment of your time?
Now he's made some wine out of that into a bottle, which we should bring to Dollengil, which is still here in Celendim. So that should be easy to do. Let's see where he's at. Oh no, it's in Dueland, the next town over. But let's talk to Carnivore first.
The sorrows of the
see.
Eldar are never ending.
And apparently Pamprausch, with his dying words, has said that Avothal still lives. And Gardevoir finds it hard to believe the words of a goblin, of an evil creature. But considering the circumstances, we cannot discount the possibility. So we will definitely see if we can find out something about it.
Will you lend me your ear?
And we are tasked indeed with finding something. And we have to talk to Dorangur, who is also in Dueland. So I am sorry, I get so caught up in when I'm gaming that I completely missed your chats. So I'm sorry about that. And for Warbringer, I am indeed a woman. And whether it's hard to tell or not, it's still a very, very disrespectful question to ask. So, and very personal too. So, as Ginger says, exactly, it should not matter whatsoever. But hey, at least you had the respect to ask and not just assume. So, thank you for that. I will say, however, that I try not to keep these streams for too long, at least for the time being. So I think being in for an hour right now is good. So I think I will end it up here and just see if I can find someone to raid.